Thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's been absolutely lovely to hear all the lovely things you have to say about professional childminders. So I'm very excited to share with you today my experience and ongoing journey to developing sustainable and effective partnerships locally. So as you know, my name's Rebecca Lihou. Each childminder is unique in their own businesses, and mine is made up of there's myself, a co-minder, and we have 3 assistants between us, but of course only 3 of us working together at one time. We've got 20 children on roll, and we have 6 of these children who are in receipt of the 30 hours, extended 30 hours entitlement. 3 of those we offer with a blended childcare model with our local preschool. And this has really helped us be able to offer the entitlement to all 6 of our children. We have recently generated a great partnership with our local school to be able to offer on-site after-school care using the 50% rule, where childminders can operate on non-domestic premises for 50% of their time. And this, again, has enabled us to work with all of our working parents, both our after-school parents and our parents who are in receipt of the extended entitlement. So, in addition to my role as childminder, I am a cluster lead, a lead childminder and a quality hub coordinator. So basically a cluster lead, you may have them yourself in your areas. It's basically a role where you facilitate and organise meetings for CPD and basically raise awareness of changes, statutory changes, and also to make sure that we have those valuable networking opportunities. So really, this invite is for anyone connected to the early years. And on top of that, we offer moderation meetings as well. So this has a heavy focus on transition to and just making sure that we all agree on shared aims locally, which is within our town and surrounding areas. So I also have the Quality Hub Coordinator role, which is very new, and it's more of a strategic role really to develop the vision, plan and goals for our very local area. And it's based on providers' feedback and also local data and also parents' views, which I think is really important to make sure that parents are very much part of the partnerships too. And then lead childminder is a specific role for supporting childminders, and that's where they can network through the day, and lead childminder basically facilitates a meeting where there's play activities for the children, but also we have an evening meeting once a term as well, where local childminders can meet and network as well. Okay, so the aims of this PowerPoint today really are just to cover the importance of childminders, the barriers that I found on my journey to creating the partnerships, and also how I feel we've improved partnerships locally, and then our next steps as well. So I think Jill's presentation is even more important. We raise the profile for childminders and dispel the myths around childminders, especially with working parents for the 30 hours agenda. But also I found since, especially during my cluster lead role, trying to basically get all the providers into one room and meet, so from teachers, nurseries, preschools and childminders, just accessing that time where everybody's available to meet, but also having the confidence to all come together and feel like they're in a safe environment to be able to talk openly and freely. I think that if a provider or any childminder doesn't feel equal, they're less likely to engage in partnerships. So it's really important that you put those foundations in the very early instance. And sometimes a provider or childminder might not be ready to walk into a big group situation. and sit down and be part of a meeting. And actually, you know, if you've got the time just for a phone call or a visit or an email, you know, just continually inviting that provider or childminder in, you know, so they feel welcome, and one day they, you know, they will engage and they will come and network. So what I thought I would do would give you some, well, basically local context of Somerset. So in Somerset, there are 188 registered childminding settings that offer early years entitlement. In my local area, in and around Yeovil, there are 44 childminders, 27 of which offer the early years entitlement. So for me, this suggests childminders are very much needed provision in Somerset, especially because of the rurality of the county. As a cluster lead, it shows that partnerships are important for all providers to come together, especially ensuring primary reception teachers and childminders have the chance to network together. And I think just on a personal level, that has been crucial to my understanding of earlier sector as a whole, just being able to be and, you know, have conversations with everybody who's involved in those steps within the early years foundation stage. Okay, so my journey to supporting sustainable and effective partnerships locally within the community was really inspired by an invite to the education design team within Somerset to support basically Somerset's strategy for early years and their overall education strategy, achieving excellence for all. And it was quite a light bulb moment for me. So, I mean, it was basically having the opportunity to listen to others involved in care, welfare and education of children and young people across the county from birth right the way up to 25 years. I listened to the barriers, the successes and the celebrations of each sector who help children and young people on their journey to adulthood. And it was a great opportunity for me to gain a shared understanding of others within their roles and what barriers they have when they're trying to work collaboratively to support children and their families. And I think what's interesting to remember is within the strategy, it says at the heart of the strategy is the right of every child to have a happy childhood in which they can relax, play, thrive, and grow up to achieve their potential. So this had me thinking, so what can we do? What can I do as an individual childminder? And what can we do as a community to support children to achieve their potential? Okay, so priority one, to further develop collaborative partnerships and provide the highest quality support and opportunities for all children and families. So to put it into context, so just around this time, the county, within the local authority, they were unable to fund the cluster meetings anymore. And it used to be facilitated by the local authority. So we'd just lost our collaborative network meetings. And this was how providers and childminders had the opportunity to become cluster leads and try to keep these networking moments going. And I think that's really important for priority one to make sure that there's true collaboration and partnerships. And also priority three was identify and recognise the number of transition points a child has in their first 5 years. And this is why the moderation meetings were then were born as well, to make sure that we discussed as a whole early years team all of the transition points across the early years foundation stage and develop our shared aims for Yeovil. So some of the barriers to our collaborative partnerships was basically, initially, it was just misconceptions around our roles and also maybe just an absence of shared understanding. So before, you had your childminder meetings, your PVI meetings, and primary had, I think they called it federation meeting. And they all happened individually, but nobody ever really came together to discuss. So there wasn't the opportunity for a shared understanding of each other's roles. So back when I was invited to the education design team, it just showed how important it is for everybody to find time to try to be in the same room and have those all important discussions. It's also, so time was a big issue, so everybody finishes work at different times. So primary is 3:30. Childminders are between 6 and 7, around about, if not later sometimes. So it was really important that we tried to overcome the barrier of time being an issue. So for the cluster meetings, we offered 2 identical sessions, one at 3:30 and one at 6:30. And they've been running for 2 years now, and now we have primary who used to predominantly come at 3:30, they will come with the childminders at 6:30. And we've also got an open policy where if anybody's late, it's okay, like just join in when you can as well, because obviously everybody's working patterns are very different. We also have some childminders attend the 3:30 session as well. And people are really busy, so it's really important that we're efficient with our time and that we have shared aims, and there's an agenda that we stick to, and we finish when we say we're going to finish as well. And also it's really important that we plan networking time to talk freely and have those discussions, those private discussions that really are not part of the agenda. So we have those at the beginning and at the end as well. Okay, so I've mostly been through some of the opportunities there are in Somerset, but what I'd like to show you is the map for our local area. And there's a lot of arrows, but basically I'm trying to prove that it's like bi-directional. So the feedback is on the ground and from top to bottom and vice versa, and amongst all the different meetings. Now the Quality Hub role is brand new, but basically the Quality Hub coordinator's role is to kind of ensure that all the feedback from all the meetings gets to the top, but also the standardisation meetings and the provider meetings that you have as leads, all that information definitely feeds down to the bottom as well. Now, the Early Years Learning Partnership, which is the one right in the middle, is probably one of the most important meetings. So there's 15 providers within each EYLP group, and that consists of school, there's schools, nurseries, preschools and childminders, and they're practice-based, so they visit each other's settings and schools and even in childminders' homes. They share good practice, they work on the quality of teaching, and also they give each other the opportunities for some feedback on how they could extend their provision as well. And within this, there was a school went to visit a preschool who'd just fallen into requires improvement and supported them to get back to good by their next Ofsted inspection. So it's a really lovely group, especially for childminders to walk into, because it's nice and small, and it's also focused on really practical aspects of our jobs as well. It's also hosted at 7 o'clock at 7 o'clock in the evening as well, so all of the UILP meetings and all providers and schools manage to attend at this time. Basically, the Quality Hub agenda is to improve communication between providers and schools, to basically align the cluster groups and community learning partnerships in each local area, and also to be able to focus and agree on shared agendas for change, and agree the priorities for self-improvement. So within the county, there are 9 quality hubs. Some of the quality hubs have up to 3 cluster leads, within their quality hubs. And the coordinator basically supports the leads and the providers within their area to develop a strategic plan and basically set goals to achieve for quality improvement and other aims that they might need within their local area. So our goals in our local area is to engage all early years colleagues, particularly childminders, to work in partnership, including supporting the 30 hours agenda, to support all providers to break down barriers that may inhibit partnership working, and to formalise partnerships to maximise attendance, to network and create a training plan based on the local and national data to support high quality places. And this is the data from our area. Okay, so in 2016 in the Yeovil Federation, 67.6% of children achieved a good level of development, and this year we've had a slight rise at 69.7%. So we still have some way to go, but there is a slight improvement there. We use the data to support where we need to focus on the improvement, so it's quite noticeable that the gender gap between boys and girls has increased this year. So this will be a focus for our cluster meeting and needs to prioritise basically within our Quality Hub project. Also, I think it's literacy, handwriting particularly as well in our area, and communication and language. So again, there'll be focuses for our Quality Hub and cluster leads. So these are just a few comments, well, 2 comments from some of the providers within our Quality Hub. So a particular benefit is getting a wider understanding and perspective of each other and their bigger pictures. And having the opportunity to network makes it easier to do transition visits. And we have a secure relationship now, and I can get a good context of the child's background ready for support in transition. And I think that's because when you are meeting regularly with all the different local providers and teachers within your areas and childminders, you build up a level of trust to be able to talk more openly and freely, and you don't worry as much about sharing information, and you've also got those procedures in place to be able to share that information as well. So overall, I'd just like to say thank you very much. And if you'd like to know any more information, we do have leaflets on our Quality Hub as well. And I'm sure if you want to get in touch with Alison Jeffries, you're more than welcome to. I can leave her email address for you. Right, thank you.